Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Genealogy Adventures. I'm Brian Sheffy.
And I'm Donya Williams. Hey, y'all. Hey, hey, hey.
Happy Sunday. As always, thank you for spending the next hour with us, no matter how you're tuning in.
Yes, no matter how. Y'all, are y'all tired? I'm tired. I'm telling you, I'm tired. I know we were late getting that out and everything, and we sorry, but I'm tired.
We have a lot going on, and I just wanted to take a couple of quick seconds to update everyone about the USCT pension application project. We have a whole lot of volunteers going into the archives to digitize them before anything nefarious happens with the National Archives. And really pleased to say that we are now just shy of 600 applications that have been scanned. So huge thank you to everyone who stepped up, who's so enthusiastically supporting this project. We even have Danya working on this project too. And thank you to all of the people who have stepped up to be metadata volunteers who are reading through hundreds of these applications to give us the metadata so we can upload them quickly into our archive and preserve them for everyone who needs to have access. So again, thank you so much for all of the support. And today we have an interesting show for you. We kind of wanted to end we wanted to end Women's History Month on a certain note. We think we have it. It's kind of the history of Black women's resistance in this country. And it's kind of hard to find an official starting point, but Donnie, I'm going to start with Margaret Cornish. She was one of the Angolans. I know the Angola didn't exist in 1619. It was the Kingdom of Ndongo for anyone who wants to catch me on a technicality, but today we refer to them as Angolans. She divorced her husband, John Gwyn, and probably what was the first divorce in the British American colonies. Because that, I guess she figured, that relationship wasn't working out for her. She had someone else who was going to give her a better life, and that's what she chose. But yeah, the problems that Black women have experienced in this country, I can shoot a straight line back to 1619 easily.
Well, I mean, I want to talk about how we got to this particular conversation. We got to this conversation because of all of the different things that are just happening. We kind of let you guys know in our last episode that we kind of going in a political route, and that was the reason why we got to this conversation. And I don't know, for those that follow me on my particular page, um, we got to this route because of everything that is going on. Those that follow me, you guys know, some of you know that I actually went to the Glenn Ivy senator in Maryland. I went to his town hall meeting, and I stood up there. I didn't go to jail. Y'all know me, my mouth, jokes, jokes. But I mean, it's just that even there was a discussion, and black women particularly, women as a whole, but black women particularly, are never given their props. They're never given their props as to how much they do and what they do and how they go about doing the thing, getting things done. And it just bothered me so much. And that's one of the reasons why this particular show was brought about, because I need those props being given. And I even said that to Mr. Ivy himself. And hopefully he's going to end up being on the show because of the conversation that was had with him there, because we're never given our props. And then there was a whole conversation on Threads with a man who got totally upset because he felt like black people are just sitting back and allowing the things to happen. He was cursing and everything. He was like, how are y'all just sitting back and allowing these things to happen? And the first thing that came out my mouth was 92% of black women and about 88% of black men went to the polls and voted. So to say that we are allowing these things to happen is crazy. We didn't
Can I
allow
just
it.
can I just jump in real quick? And I'm going to say we spent the best part of a year doing the town crying with the bells, going, danger is coming. This is the danger. These are the things they're going to want to do. This is Project 25. This is how it's going to affect not just the Black community, but anyone who's white, male, heterosexual, and Christian. And y'all ignored us because we're Black. Because you've never listened to Black people. We're the canary in the coal mine. So guess what? We told you. We stood on business when we voted. You broke this. It's up to y'all who ain't Black, who voted for that man, to fix it. Because I'm tired of my people having to clean up after other people's mess. We told.
Listen, Brian, you know what? You made a comment just from what you just said just now. One of the things that bothers me the most, what this reminds me of, it reminds me of the crazy person standing on the corner ringing the bell talking about the end is near, the end is near, and nobody listens to him simply because he's crazy. And that's
Mhm.
what this looks like. That person standing on that corner, when that he knows something, and we just walk past him and just walk past him, constantly doing that,
But it's
constantly.
worse. My feeling is it's worse when it comes out of a Black person's mouth. Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. They're always complaining about something. They're always
Listen,
whining about something. They always want something. Y'all learned this time. We told you the truth. We've always told you the truth. It's an inconvenient truth. It's an uncomfortable truth, but we told you the truth and you ignored it. And now we are where we are. So I'm at home resting. I'm learning Mandarin Chinese and I'm out there trying to save black records from the federal archives.
come
That's what I'm
on, bro.
doing.
The way you just said it. He said, I'm learning Mandarin Chinese. But look, while you doing that, I swear to God, I've been doing some YouTube studying on how to play chess. Because I want to know how to play chess. I
Good
really
for
do. I
you.
want to know. I do. I feel like chess is something that everybody needs to learn how to do because it teaches you how to focus and strategize. And I
Mhm.
really think that every person needs to learn how to play chess just a little bit, if nothing else.
And my last comment on this is someone said it on TikTok. It's an influencer. I can't remember her name. This is not our lesson to learn. We could run a PhD level masterclass on what it is to be American and live in this country for the last 400 years. Not our lesson to learn. Clearly, it's other people's lessons to learn, and they're learning it the hard way.
And the thing is now to piggyback on that, let's not forget we're going to suffer from this.
Yeah,
We are yeah, we are going to suffer a little bit. And what I mean by a little bit is the fact that the reason why we're going to suffer a little bit is because we live in this world. We live in the USA. We and we have to suffer some. But we're not going to suffer as much because we know how to live through this because we consistently live through this. Take the Black farmers, for example. They have never
mhm.
receive what the white farmers have received. So, because they've never received those things, they already know how to survive what the white farmers are complaining about right now. They already know how to survive it. They already know
That's
how to
it.
get.
And I'm going to say the same thing about childcare. Childcare wasn't made for Black women.
No.
So if they were to ever come for childcare to take that away from women, Black women is like, well, what's new for us?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
It was. It reminds me of the TikTok video that we both watched and chatted about this morning. We're not going to cry about systems that are being taken away from us, like affirmative action, segregation, all that stuff,
Because it was
because
never for us from the
there
beginning.
they were never
That,
for us in the beginning. So y'all are just taken away from yourselves. Carry on, kind of a
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, in the context of this show, there are a couple of historical snippets that we both wanted to share with you and to go over. Um, but in recognizing that America has a caste system, in a caste system, there is always someone at the very bottom, and at the very bottom has traditionally been Black women, which I've never really understood because if anyone has done more than anyone could have expected them to do, it's Black women, yet they're thought of the worst. And I've never been able to wrap my head around that.
The
You take
worst,
care
the
of
last.
the worst and the last. You raised other people's kids. People trust, even though they hated the color of your skin. They needed black women to clean their homes, to make them feel better about themselves,
To
watch
feed the
their
children.
kids, breastfeed their children, all of that stuff. But you're the worst of society, apparently, in the caste system.
Yeah.
Explain, you know, and I have to say, as a black man, I don't know how that feels. I know how it feels, the stereotypes of black men. But what does that feel like for a black woman to consistently be spoken, talked back poorly of, talked down to, and know that that has been generational for as long as there have been black women in this country?
Are you asking?
I'm asking.
Okay. Well, as a black woman, if as a black woman, to be honest, and my black women in the audience, in the virtual audience, you guys can follow up and back me up if you want, or tell me something different. But as a black woman, I've become numb to it. I get tired of it, and me being the person that I am, I'll either one, walk away from you, two, cuss you out, or three, tell you something totally different and then keep moving. Because I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. I'm going to be who I want to be anyway. I'm going to continue to move the way I need to move anyway. And you either going to watch me do it, or that's it. Because I don't have the patience. As I'm getting older, I don't have the patience to keep sitting around here playing and trying to make you understand what I'm doing, especially if I'm doing it in your best interest. I really don't have that patience to deal with you in that matter, in that manner. Um, I get tired of black men telling me I need to be this way in order to please them. Miss me with that. I'm trying not to curse. So miss me with that, because you don't have a problem any other time until I talk back. So miss me with that. Go on over there with your significant other that you've chosen and go ahead and take that and be there with them. But as soon as something turns bad, here you come. And then you back here again because you need this type of a certain type of coddling that only I can give you. I ain't got time for that. I'm not that person. I don't have the patience for it, and it's not for me. I don't have that type of patience. So with that being said, Brian, it's hurtful, but after a while, I think for me personally, I get tired and I just don't have. I'm like I move on. If I don't have, I just get to the point where I'm like, all right, and I go to the next level. Now, if you catch me on a bad day, you might get the good cussing out. You might. But the older I get, the more I'm at the point where I'm gonna keep doing. I'm gonna let you watch me move, and I'm gonna let you watch how well I am without you. Do I want you in my life? I'm at a point in my life, as far as men and even family members and other people. I'm at the point in my life where I would much rather you see where I am and see where I'm going than to sit and argue with you. I don't have that patience. I really don't. I don't have that patience. But unfortunately, that's where black women, we have to deal with everybody, from our family members, our men, the men in our life, even our children sometimes feel like that they can just tell us what we can do and how we're supposed to do it, when later on you're gonna come back anyway and be like, hey, can you help me? No, don't get mad when I'm like, no, 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 I can't, you know.
And
But that's
it
just me.
must be it must be a head scrambler on some level, because fast forward to today, but echoing many generations previous. On the one hand, society, and specifically white society, says that black women in particular are too loud, too pushy, too aggressive. But in the here and now, everyone's screaming, where are the black women at? Why aren't you on the front? You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
True, true. And we're here. And like I said to the man, we're here. we're here. We're doing our part. We are, but we're doing it safely now. And we're doing it in a way where our kids are still going to be safe, where our nieces, our nephews, our families are going to be safe. We're doing it in a way where we're teaching a little better as to how they're going to be, and we're trying to make sure that our families are not going to be hurt this time, because we don't want that. We don't want to be, in the process of losing someone, because like you and I were discussing earlier today, every time we tend to step out there and help, we are the ones that get the bulk of the issue. So what I'm talking about, guys, is that there was a man who put a question out there, and because I know Brian has something he's going to read, so I'm going to read something too. And a man put a question out there, and the question was, he said, serious question for the Black community in America. I'm a white guy, and I'm furious that they've scrubbed Jackie Robinson's service record from the DOD website. And then he says, how the blank are you taking this assault lying down? So my response was as follow. I said, first, who said we were taking it lying down? As much as we appreciate you and your anger, we also understand that everything that is being done was not caused by us. 92% of Black women, and I believe 88% of Black men did their job and went to the polls and voted against the cause of this problem. So to say that we're taking this assault lying down is crazy. Secondly, we also understand the moment we step out on these here streets, white people, not necessarily you, will feel emboldened to act a complete fool and begin to riot, which will then make the police turn to us, because it is always said that we are animals and don't know how to act. This will cause people like our sons, daughters, nieces, and nephews to be killed and become martyrs, and people like you be able to go home and be with your families to live for another day. We've had enough. We are taking a safer, more convenient, and affordable route. We are holding on to our money as much as possible, spending on only what we need when we need it. We are keeping our children safe and teaching that history at home. We are sending thoughts and prayers to those that need it, and we are praying for the best for others. We are hoping that the judicial system will win out, but preparing for the worst if it doesn't. Hope that helps. And finally, my suggestion to you is, if you don't have Black friends, get you some. And follow Genealogy Adventures on YouTube to always get the full truth about American history. See, I don't have the time to play games with folks. Mind you, no response was done. Nothing else was said. He never responded to that. But the bottom line is, ain't nobody got time.
My comment to those kind of questions, because I always feel as though they actually have the answers. They just, I don't know. I don't even want to get into that dynamic. My answer has been, Black people are no longer going to be the cannon fodder that y'all just step over. Our bodies are not going to be there on the front lines for you to step over and then just completely forget about us. Because we're dead. We're wiped out at that point. So we're not doing that. You said something, and I meant to say this at the top of the show too. In my opinion, a couple of white genealogists have kind of clapped back at me, specifically on TikTok, because you're still not engaging with TikTok, and I support you. So I'm willing to take the hit for the pair of us. Talking about, well, on my TikTok genealogy channel, I only discuss genealogy. Well, guess what? You're white and you have that privilege and luxury to do that. Black
Say that one
genealogy.
more time. They didn't hear you. They didn't hear you. Say that again. Because I'm not on TikTok for that reason, because I know my mouth, and that's not good. So say that again, because they didn't hear you.
If you're moaning about me talking about politics on my TikTok channel, which is also a genealogy and Black history channel, that's because you have the luxury in your whiteness to be able to sit there and pretend like we're not in a coup and what's going on isn't going to go on. But I'll tell you what, when they do work out a way to close the federal archives and the doors are shut to you as well as everyone else, don't come crying to me, because you will get no tea and no sympathy.
That part.
So yeah, you have all the luxury in the world to sit there and just chat about genealogy and pretend like what's happening's not happening. So
That
that's my clapback to those clapbacks.
that's
Um,
that part.
One of the things that really interests me, and it's something that you said, Donnie, about kind of modern relationships between Black men and Black women. In trying to do some scholarly research on this subject, I actually re-remembered and came across information that a lot of Western African peoples, not all of them, but a number of them, actually came from what we would call matrilineal societies. So these were very much societies where women kind of were much higher up in the pecking order. They societies that had queens as rulers, for instance, in their own right. So a couple of them are like the Akan people of Ghana, the Bemba people of Zambia. I think it's pronounced Ser, Serer, in Senegal, Gambia, and Mauritania. You've got the Tuareg in North Africa, and the Ohafia Igbos in Southeast Nigeria. Did you hear those countries? Ghana, Zambia, Senegal, Mauritania to a lesser extent. Now I have Tuareg. Never, I still don't know where that comes from. And most of us have some degree of Igbo. Um, so I'm sure that our enslaved Africans who were brought here, who were not indigenous to this country, would have carried that culture with them, where it wouldn't have been unusual for a woman to be an authority figure. I'll just say that. And I just wonder where in the history of this country that kind of started to unravel.
I mean, I think it started to unravel in this country during, excuse me, during slavery. You know, all of that was broken down during slavery, and I think it had a lot to do with the women seeing our black men being broken down in front of them. You know, those were the things that was really, and then vice versa, the men watching their women being raped in front of them, those that did have that happen to them. I think that those things played a huge part of a huge role in breaking down both sides. I don't, you know, I'm one of those people that don't feel like that happened a lot as much as people think that they did. I know it happened. Don't get me wrong. I
Mhm.
definitely know it happened. I don't think it happened as much as people, you know, you got a lot of people that say it happened all the time. I don't know if it happened all the time. I'm not certain of it. But I know it happened. And I think that because it happened, it had everything to do with the breaking down of our families and what and how men treated our women and how the women then had to kind of reach for our men even more. And yeah, I think that was a lot. I think that had a lot to do with that. And I also think that our men seem to feel a certain way after it happened to us, like we were at fault almost. Because that is something that happens anyway in rape victims. At some point, men tend to blame the women as far as rape is concerned. And that carries to a certain degree that they then blame us or blame the woman because they were raped. So I think that mindset, that epigenetic mindset, kind of carries over. And these men now start to feel like, you know, they need to tell us how we need to act in order for us to get to them. And I don't need you to do that.
And I guess it's, well, I don't guess, it's also the shame because we are a proud people. They couldn't, even though they tried their hardest to erase and beat pride out of us throughout slavery, and even with free people of color, because again, they didn't have it easy either. They tried to beat that pride out of us, and they couldn't. And for a man
Mm,
to not be able to protect his loved one, be that his partner, his
right.
wife, his daughter, his kids, um, is a feeling of shame. Now, what you do, how you project that shame,
Yeah.
isn't going probably is not going to be, you almost start to blame the person who's indirectly making you feel that shame instead of being
Right.
angry at the enslaver who raped your wife or your daughter.
Right.
You can't
Yeah.
you can't hit them, you can't call them
Right.
out, you can't fight a duel with them. You
Right.
internalize it and then you project it. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
that's fair, but I'm just as a bloke, I'm just saying, um, I think that's all part and fundamental of what it the word masculinity. You protect the ones you love. And if you can't do that, you're going to feel a kind of way about that. Now, how you choose to process that and direct it, That's going to be different for every person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I'm going to
agree.
say, I was just going to say, one of the things I found really frustrating trying to research this show is there is a lot written about slave revolts, and it always features the men. But we know that there were women involved. And even not even necessarily slave revolts, but the
Everything.
creation of maroon communities. I just learned today that South Carolina had one of the largest maroon communities, and that's people who escaped from slavery, went to usually places no white person wanted to go, like the swamps, the Great Dismal Swamp of Virginia and North Carolina, and then the swamp that's outside of Colleton in South Carolina. Um, and they had multi-generational communities, and I could easily find information about the men, could not find the name of one woman. Women were referenced. It was mentioned there were women and children in these communities. I just wished that history books were written in a better way. It's all well and good talking about the overarching history or historical aspect of something that happened, but make the effort to actually include specific examples, whether you're talking about, Abraham and his wife Susan, and Susan did this within her maroon community to support what her husband was doing. It only takes a couple of sentences. So I don't know about you, but I found that really frustrating, kind of documenting actual women who in their lifetimes fought fought against the system.
Well, it's not just in slavery, it's also in everything from civil rights movements to something as simple as building a church. My grandmother was very instrumental in the building of Springfield Baptist Church, but the names that are listed are the men. I can literally use that. We were talking about something that we could use from Edgefield.
Yeah.
And you saying that, it hit me. My grandparents founded Springfield Baptist Church right on 6th and P Street Northwest in DC. He also helped found the family helped found Greater New Hope Baptist Church, right? That's now located in Gallery Place, but originally it was, I can't remember what that address was, the first place. But the thing is that the only time that my grandmother's name was listed was when it said the founding families of Greater New Hope. That's when, and then at that point, it was the founding family. So they listed my grandmother, my grandfather, and the two sons, her two oldest sons. They were listed. But when you talked about the dedication, the that first, it's not dedication. I can't remember what it's called. The first the first meeting of the formation of the church,
Mhm.
it's only my grandfather's name that's listed. It's only the men. Now, I can say for Springfield, the woman that they list is the lady's house that they were in, but that lady had absolutely nothing to do with planning of the church. Nothing. But the name of Springfield came from my grandmother. She named that church. She named Springfield Baptist Church, but it really had nothing to do. But she's not named in that first. God, the name is at the tip of my tongue that they call that. But they don't talk about her in that particular thing, but she was a part of it. And then when you talk about what happened with the kids of that church, my grandmother made sure not one child never not had a gift for Christmas, made sure they had everything they needed. My grandmother was very instrumental in every inch of what happened with that church, but her name is not mentioned. It is all about my grandfather or the men and what they did, the pastor and what he did, everything. Everything is about him. But those ladies of the church, it wouldn't have been able to work without them. Talking about civil rights movements. Everybody knows that the March on Washington, the March on Washington had not just the March on Washington. Let's take it back further. The planning of the Montgomery boycott, the Montgomery bus boycott, that was women. That entire thing was women. Everything. So I don't know why people just don't talk about that. And it's crazy to me that they don't. But that entire Montgomery bus boycott, those women were the ones that was passing those flyers. Those women
Oh,
were the ones, those women were the ones that really pushed that stuff out there. Women's suffrage would not have been able to do what it did without the divine, those women, those sororities, those black sororities, the Delta Sigma Theta pushed that so well. They pushed that. But there they tell them, what did Susan B. Anthony and them say? Oh, step to the back. We just need you to be numbers. That's all we are numbers.
numbers and bodies. That's it.
Body.
Disposable. Disposable.
It's crazy.
Um, I was also today years old, and I think Donia was today years old when we learned something about the state of New York, although it was the colony of New York at the time. Please raise your hand if you ever knew that New York, the colony of New York, had not one, but two slave revolts. Two
That
slave
ooh,
revolts. I had never heard of it in the entirety of my life until I was literally researching for this show. 1712 was the first one. And right there amongst the leaders of that revolt were Sarah, Abigail, Lily, and Amba,
oh,
AMBA.
say their names, Brian. Say their name.
I'll say them again: Sarah, Abigail, Lily, and Amba. Never even knew that New York had any slave revolts. We just found two. Because the other one was 1740,
41.
1741. Yeah.
1741.
And it
Yeah.
freaked New York out.
Yes,
These
it
two
did.
slavers, it freaked New York out.
Yeah. New York was scared of black folks. They
It
were scared of.
was.
Yeah, we scared them. We scared them. We scared them.
But those four women were named as
Ooh.
ringleaders right alongside the men. So we knew black
Yeah.
women were fighting for justice and liberty and equality and all of those, and social justice and all of those things in 1712 in New York, in 1741 in New York.
And it's crazy that we don't know this.
And there's
And
a
our
court
children
case.
to this day. And the sad thing is, and our children to this day just feel like we never our ancestors just didn't fight back. And
Because they're
this
not
is
taught
this is
this.
this is the problem. Exactly. And this is why they come up with I am not my ancestor. They don't know that they fought back. They consistently fought back.
Mhm. And some of these women, they went to trial. I have not found the trial documents online. Apparently they are, but I haven't found the exact name of the court case to be able to pull this file. But I believe they were all sentenced to death. Some of them weren't because they were pregnant at the time. But you were reading out some of the punishments for the men. Did I hear you correctly when you said that people were burned alive for
Burned to
this?
death. They were burned to death.
Burned to
Yes.
death. Yeah. Deliberately.
Like
This
like
wasn't
the
like they
cell
were in a
deliberately.
building. It wasn't like they were in a
Yep.
building that caught on fire. These slaves were deliberately burnt alive. But we're the
Like the Salem
savages.
witch trials.
We're
Yeah,
the
like the Salem
savages.
witch trials. Yeah, we're the savages. Yeah,
Hmm.
that part. It fits right with what I said. We're the ones that the considered animals, and we're the ones that yeah, we've had enough. We've had enough.
But
We've
tell
had
me the
enough.
time that a black person purposely burnt white people, plural, alive. Oh no, I guess that kind of maybe did happen during a slave revolt, but that wasn't the kind of normal behavior for us. I'm just trying to just didn't randomly go and do stuff like that.
I don't even think that happened during the slave revolt. We was just straight fighting. We went we were fisticuffs
Yeah,
type people. We wasn't trying to. We threw hands. Or swords or whatever. Or if we had guns,
yeah.
no.
We didn't lynch because I consider being burned alive a form of lynching. Um, we just don't
Yeah,
have a
that's
reservoir.
yeah. We not. I I'm not saying that this is what this is, so please don't misunderstand. But I think they may have thought that doing something like that was more of a cowardly thing
There is that.
because they were always ready. Like, and I think I say that like that is because we as people are always on the we always on the ready. We can go 0 to 1,000 in a sec.
Our survival
So
depends on it.
our survival depends on it. Exactly. So, when we think about how we are, and then you think about moms don't we don't have any cut cards. We talk about how we save our children on a regular. Like we were just talking about that. That was another thing we talked about. How I know where my buttons are. My buttons is my mother and my children. I there a couple of times I probably should have been arrested because of my mom and my kids because of stuff that have come out of my mouth. But I wasn't because God look after babies and food, and this is the food right here. So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So the other source of me finding out about the resistance that Black women have had in this country, I was sharing with Danya. It's some research that I've been doing for private clients doing their ancestry, and I came across a remarkable story that actually involved not only her direct female ancestor, but her direct female ancestor's sisters. And I'm going to read a snippet. If I can share that on the screen, I'm
You
going to
should
try
be able to.
sharing. Um, yes, also share the
Tanya
audio.
laughing at me because I said I'm the fool. I am
um,
Tanya. If you only knew,
do you know,
girl.
I'm trying to find this book.
You lost the link.
It's, it's showing me every link except for this
Go to
one.
your Facebook and click the link that you sent me, or you want me to do it.
Actually, I'm going to try this because here we go.
Let me.
Is that showing on the screen?
There you go.
Can you see can you see the book page?
Uh huh.
Okay, so this is coming from a book called A Hard Fight for We, Women's Transition from Slavery to Freedom in it's South Carolina, actually. So this involves a plantation on Sandy Island, Georgetown County, South Carolina. It's involving a Dr. Stephen Parker, um, who was a neighbor to a woman who fled Sandy Island for Charleston. So basically, you have hundreds of enslaved people. Their slave mistress crashes out, flees her plantation, goes to Charleston because they're convinced that the Union Army is going to invade. Um, and she abandoned them for the duration of the Civil War. Now, the cool thing about the enslaved people is they were not idle. And I want to say that one more time for all the racists out there that say that Black people are lazy. These people kept it moving. They continued to produce rice, grains, animals. And when they actually reached out to the Union Army, kind of going, yo, we've got all these provisions. You want to buy them? And the Union Army was like, oh, hell yes. So these slave people did this for at least 2 years. I suspect that there was a third, but I can't get definitive proof on that. So fast forward at the end of slavery, their former slave mistress contacts her cousin, Dr. Stephen Parker, to go reclaim her plantation with instructions. She had heard that her enslaved people had sold the stuff to the Union. I want my money. Her enslaved people kindly referred back to say, we'll give you a cut, but we keeping the rest of it. And that in 1870, you start seeing these same enslaved people with their own land in Waccamaw, 250, 300, 350 acres of land. Well, they got the money to do that by selling the crops and stuff to the. I love that for our people. They
I do too.
organized themselves, they kept it moving, they didn't need any direction, and they literally stood on business. So,
I,
so there's another character involved. His last name is Hazel. He was a formerly enslaved person who was, we called him a driver. He was like a work boss, a black work manager, but he was still a slave. Parker sent his son and Hazel to deliver work orders to the people at Keithfield, which is where my client's ancestors were held. But the men's authority to direct plantation labor was repudiated by Abram, whom the Free People has appointed as their own foreman. Parker's son threatened to bring Abram before the local provost marshal and break him. Anyone who knows about buck breaking, just the word that he was going to break him is enough. But he then left the plantation. Abram called the women and men in from the field. The work gang turned their tools, axes, hatchets, hoes, and poles, into weapons and attacked Hazel, threatening to kill him. Hazel escaped and that afternoon returned to the plantation with Parker's son and two soldiers. Those would have been Union soldiers. On their appearance, the people assaulted them with their tools and pelted them with bricks and stones. Now here comes the client's ancestors and family members. Suki and Becky entered the frame armed with heavy clubs, joined by Jim. They exhorted their fellow laborers to join the fight, declaring the time was come and they must yield their lives if necessary, that a life was lost but once, and they must try to kill the intruders. The crowd was then joined by eight or 10 infuriated women. This is more of her family, including Charlotte Sims, Susan Lands, Clarissa Simons, Sally Mazik, Koshiba, and Magdalene Moultrie, who were armed with heavy clubs and hoes and backed by 4 or 5 men. And basically, the women went in on not only the white man, the black slave, the kind of black work manager, they went in on the Union Army soldiers too. In the end, they drove everyone off the land, and the women unfortunately did end up in jail for about a 2-week period. But I'm telling you, Danya, I said to you on the phone, I'm still learning a lot about the Gullah Geechee kind of character and cultures and them as a people because they have a distinctly different history and they have a distinctly different culture. I've learned enough in my almost 2 years here to know that Gullah Geechee women don't play. They have always stood on business. And when they're playing with you, that's only because they're getting ready to go full metal Gullah on you. And by full metal Gullah, that's what I just read to you. These women were standing on business even then. And I
I'm
love
all
it.
for it.
I love it for people. They say, who the hell are you? Why are you here? We
I'm
don't
for
need
it.
you. They
I'm
ran
here
that
for it.
they
Yeah,
ran that plantation on their own for the he didn't step foot on it for the whole duration of the Civil War. He gonna come popping up, snapping his fingers and telling him to jump. They picked up those clubs, pitchforks, and tools and let them know how they felt. And if they had to
I'm
do
here for it.
and I get from their attitude, they knew, they weren't stupid. They knew what the result was going to be. And if they had to do a little jail time, they had to do a little jail time.
It
But
is what it
guess what?
is.
1870, they're landowners. Who had the last laugh?
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. That's me. I feel like you sure I'm not related to him. Am I related?
Oh, no,
Because
these aren't our.
don't you tend to
Look,
look at I
they
know,
may.
and I know some of are we related? Because I know there are moments where you do your research and you sit there and you like, is that my family? Is that why I act like that? You know, because you'd be like, wait a minute, did I do that?
But I told you, that's what the client said. She's cracking up, almost crying, laughing down the phone, going, "That's me, my sister, my mother, who is the parent that connects to these people." She's like, that's my entire female line on that side of the family. She's like, "We will lay hands
Yeah,
on you in a heartbeat."
quick, quick, fast, and in a hurry. It's so funny because when I do research for people who are family members, or if I'm talking to our family members and I tell them about Edgefield, and they like, that's me. I say, yeah, that's you. Everything that goes on, this is why you are the way you are, because them Edgefieldians did not play games. It didn't matter what color,
Mm.
it ain't matter your race, it didn't matter black, white, Native American, it did not matter who you were or who you are. None of them folks played games in that area. None of them. Ain't nobody was never scared. Not a soul.
Even the most
So
soft-spoken amongst us. You catch us at the right moment and the right time with the right inspiration, and watch Edgefield pop out.
that part, that part. Because I know Edgefield is in me. I know it is. And I got that
Hey,
real bad.
at least I could give a name to my the management anger management that I had to spend a couple of years in counseling to get that monster under control. At least I could give that a name. That name is Edgefield.
Beverly said, "We are Edgefield. That is me." Yes, ma'am. I know it. I know it. I got a whole side, and it seems to come out worse and worse as I get older and older. And I have absolutely no cut cards with mine as the older I get, and I have learned that, and it's really sad. It's kind of scary sometimes. So I
I will.
try to control.
I'm not laughing. I'm not exaggerating, and it is 100% true. I have gone through counseling. A lot of that was to get my anger management under control, to
I
learn how
haven't.
to. Whew.
I haven't. I have not gone through a bit of counseling, and I don't plan on it. So y'all better leave me alone. That's where I am. I mean, yeah, just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. If I say leave me alone, leave me alone. That's what it is. That's my counseling. That's the counseling. Leave me alone. If I just look at you and say back up, if I'm serious about it, if I say it too many times, if I tell you I'm gonna need you to leave me, if I have to say it again, that's gonna be my last time saying it. Trust me, believe me. Like that's it. Just believe me.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we live in a country that really enjoys pushing those buttons and then playing the victim when it blows up in their face.
That part, because and I'm not going to let you play that victim. I will not let you play that victim, because I'm gonna tell them roll the tape. Like, you remember back in the day when they used to everybody talk about rolling videos, taking the videos
Mhm,
of people. And when they
mhm.
started doing that, I swear to God, y'all, I got on my Facebook page and I said, if you rolling with me and something happens and you take a video, trust, know, and believe after I'm finished whooping whoever it was that did something to me, I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna beat on you because you took a video. Ain't nobody got time to be taking videos when that stuff happens. I'm not taking no
Mhm,
videos.
mhm.
We not doing that today. So that's who I am. But as far as the women of today, we go through so much and we're continuing to go through so much. And I love the women, especially black women. And you got these white women out here that's just doing their thing, and Hispanic and all of them. They out here, they're moving and shaking, and they're doing what they have to do to move forward. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud of what they're doing despite the stuff that is going on today. And they've always persevered. And this show is for you guys. This show is for all of the stuff that you've done, for everything that you've gone through, for all of the things that you know, this clap, this whole thing, this is all for you. So,
Because
yeah.
again, one thing that I have definitely discovered, and it was no great surprise, but this history, the history of specifically Black women's resistance, but I'm sure the same will hold true for Indigenous women's resistance and Spanish-speaking people's resistance, because I always have to remind a certain class of Americans, if you live west of the Mississippi, well, actually from the Rockies to the West Coast, those all of those Spanish names and Spanish-sounding names, that kind of is an indication of the much earlier history of that part of the United States. That was Spanish territory that was stolen from Mexico, and I'm sure that there's Spanish-speaking women who, was, after 1848, also resisted what was happening to them and to their families.
Yeah. I mean, even going back into the 6888 and the stuff that they had to go through in order to get to where they had to be. We've always had to do 20,000 times better than the next person just to move forward. always, not just by being black, but being black and being a woman. And that's the same for being a woman. You know, a lot of these white women are realizing that with the DEI stuff that is going on. They couldn't even get on board without DEI. And now they're learning that. And that's the thing that they have to understand. They couldn't get on board without DEI.
Well, they couldn't
And
even
now that
get
they're,
maternity leave. They couldn't get maternity leave.
yeah,
They couldn't get the facilities to pump their breasts if they were lactating.
exactly.
That's
All
all
of that.
DEI.
That's all DEI. That's what DEI is. It's not black. It's getting you on board.
Yeah,
And now that you're on board, you're realizing that you couldn't get on board without these things. So even you being a woman, these are the things that helped you get to where you are. And you
yeah.
couldn't do that.
Can I just make a quick point? And it's in no way taking away from the credentials that you have to do your job. It's to allow you access to that job while realizing you may be a mom. You may be a mom with an infant or a young child or children.
Or a special needs child.
Or a special needs child. Or you could be a veteran with a physical impediment that you received during active duty. You may have lost a limb or your vision or any of those things. If you lose your vision, there's special computers that you can have and software that you can have that will type for you. Disabled access into buildings. That is DEI. It's just
Yeah,
about leveling the playing field. And believe it or not, Black, and I will say this to my dying breath, up to and including 2025, the people who benefited the least from DEI and affirmative action was actually Black people. We benefited
that's
the least.
in everything that was anti-poverty, we benefited the least from. But that's another show, you know.
But you still fought for the right for those things to exist. And it
To
wasn't just
exist.
to exist for Black people, it was to exist for everyone. Because that is the other magic of Black women. Specifically, I mean, I'm going to say Black people on the whole, but again, on the front lines with Black women, it was never selfish. It was never about just us. If we were winning, everyone was winning.
That was the thought process. That was the thought process. So I just want for every black woman to always just have your flowers, and this is for you. Yeah, that's for you. We love you guys. I love
Yeah.
you guys. And we just want that for you. We just want y'all to know that you're loved and you're appreciated, and just everything about you is just excellent. Just it's just
I was almost going to say the same thing. Never doubt your magic.
ah
Never doubt it. Always believe in it. Even
yes.
when things are at their darkest. Magic. And I will say it again. I've said it so many times, and I will say it again as a people. We have been really the only people, non-indigenous people in this land, to make something out of
I don't
nothing,
know.
even to create moments of joy in the deepest parts of despair. That's why you see all that line dancing, people.
Hey now. And
All the
keep
line dancing with
dancing.
all the fans. Keep dancing.
Keep
Keep
dancing.
sharing your.
Other
What is
fans.
what is that? What is that Meghan Markle special kind of cookery thing? Le Crochet or something?
I
She'll
don't
look
know nothing
like.
about me.
Anyway, it's Meghan Markle's Netflix documentary. She's got this beautiful looking kind of cookware. I believe it's called Le Crochet. It's some kind of French sounding name. Black women are on TikTok showing theirs and then actually reproducing her recipes because they want to show that Black women can be graceful and classy and all live that soft kind of life that again was never envisioned for us. But y'all are out there doing it.
I ain't soft. I ain't gonna lie, but thank you, Megan, for doing that. I'm not soft. I don't know how to be soft, but thank you for that. But yeah, I can, yeah, okay.
But again, Look at how much hatred she has just for being a
just
black
for
woman
being who she
married to
is.
a British prince.
Yeah,
She's
they hate the
resisting.
fact. They hate that.
They hate that fact. And
They hate
specifically a
that.
certain class of
They
American women despises that. But you know what? Her resistance is laughter and love. That's
I
another
love
way that
it,
you can go.
and I
I'd love
love
that for
that.
her.
I love that for her. I absolutely love that for her. Be that princess. I love that. I have a niece, and we call her our princess. That is our principessa. That's what we call her. So I love that for her. I absolutely love that for her. But we are at the end of our show. Just definitely love on yourselves, love on your moms, on your daughters, lift them up. Just
Don't wait for
definitely
Mother's
continue
Day.
to, yeah, don't wait on Mother's Day. Yeah, because we don't know what's going on in this world, and we don't know how long things are going to last and what's getting ready to happen. So don't wait on Mother's Day or birthdays or things of that nature. Love on those people right now. Go run out and get your mama some flowers, you know, or get your daughter some flowers, or just call and tell them that you love them, and just all of those things. Just handle that. You know what I'm saying? Just go and just do those things right away.
And to the youngins at home who are feeling a kind of way at the moment, stay home. Do not take the
That's
bait
right. Don't take the bait. They are trying to get y'all out there. Learn, study, learn something new,
and prepare. And
and
with that,
prepare.
thank you so much for spending this past hour with us, no matter how you've tuned in. And as usual, we will see you. Actually, we're going to be going into April. We would normally take a break, but so much stuff is going on at the moment, and we have a lot of things that we want to talk about. So we're actually going to carry on through April.
Yes.
So until next Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and all the usual places that you catch us, I'm Brian Sheffy.
And I'm Danya Williams. We love you guys, and we will see you next week.
Love you. Have a great week.
Bye.